So we begin with punctuation, and I have to tell you, this is probably the most important series of lessons that I could teach you. Punctuation is all over this test. It's amazing how many questions we'll cover on one exam. And if you know your punctuation, you can nail every single one of those. So listen up, take good notes, and really commit to learning this stuff. All right, now, we're going to start on test number 1 with the semicolon. I think it's my personal favorite punctuation mark. It's easy, it's charming, and it just has one rule associated with it. So let's go to question number 4 in section 2 of the test. All right. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you one thing on the intro video that I'm just remembering now, which is that you want to go straight to the questions on writing. Do not read this passage. So if you flip the page over to the beginning, right? The first page of section 2, you'll see on the left-hand side, it's just the paragraph. There are no questions. Please do not read this. It's not a reading section. You only read when you're forced to read, and we'll go over when that is. But otherwise, you just go immediately to the questions. Okay, that said, let's go to question 4. And what we do, and if you notice, the question has a black box with a white 4 in it, and we're looking for the black box with the white 4 in the section on the left, in the actual passage. So we see it's on the bottom, and we start from the beginning of the sentence. You never read in the middle of a sentence. You need to get the full sentence. Okay, so we start. Yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, and government officials are also working together to develop additional solutions for reusing whey. I look at this and I see a list, right? We have 3 things. We have yogurt manufacturers, we have food scientists, and we have government officials. So it's a list of 3 types of people, and in between every item in a list, we need a comma. Now, I know we're not doing commas, and I just kind of went over to commas, but there is a semicolon there, and so we know that a semicolon is incorrect because we know what a semicolon does. I haven't told you yet. All right, the semicolon is just like a period. It separates 2 complete sentences. And if you know that, you would look at yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, semicolon. Well, that's not a sentence, right? So you know immediately that that is not the right answer. It's the only thing you need to know about a semicolon. Now, yes, you can get a little more nuanced and say, yeah, they're 2 complete sentences, but they're related. It doesn't matter. All you have to be concerned about is understanding and being able to spot what a complete sentence is. So that's the first one we're going to do. But we're going to go over a few more because I really want to make sure you get this. So let's go to number 16. So 16 reads, okay, but Jason Box, an associate professor of geology at Ohio State, believes that another factor added to the early thaw, the dark snow problem. So when you see a semicolon, you just ask yourself, is the first half a complete sentence? Is the second half a complete sentence? Well, we can look at the second half right now and see it's not a complete sentence. The dark snow problem. Where's the verb? What about the dark snow problem, right? So we can see immediately that the semicolon doesn't work. All right, let's just do one more, and that's number 32. So 32 reads, over time, I've gotten to know several of my co-working colleagues, another website developer, a graphic designer, a freelance writer, and several mobile app coders. Now, there is a colon in the paragraph, but if you look at letter B, there's a semicolon. And again, it's the same kind of thing. We have a list of people after that colon, And a list is not a complete sentence, so the semicolon is wrong. Right away, you can cross out letter B. And you should do that on your page right now. In pencil, just put a line through letter B. All right, that's all. That's pretty much all I have to say about the semicolon. And that's why I love it. It's so simple. So next up is the colon. All right, and the colon, we're going to go back to number 4, where we started. And we'll read. Yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, colon, and government officials. Now, let me give you one rule about the colon. And there are a few things I could say about the colon, but for you, for the SAT, there's only one thing you need to know. If you know this, you're going to get every colon question right. So, how you use a colon is there has to be a complete sentence before the colon. After the colon, anything. It could be another complete sentence. It can be an incomplete sentence or a fragment. It could be a list. It could be a word. Anything can come after the colon as long as what comes before it is a complete sentence. All right, so now we look at number 4 again, and we see that yogurt manufacturers, food scientists, again, is not a complete sentence, just like with the semicolon. They both need a complete sentence before them. So semicolon and colon doesn't work. Don't work. All right, let's do another colon problem. There are several on this test. And colon, the problem with colon is that if you know at all what a colon does, most people think it relates to the list, right? You always have a colon before a list. And while that's true, it's not going to get you the right answer on the test. You need a more complete understanding, which is what I already gave you. All right, let's go to number 16. All right, number 16 reads, we were here before, but Jason Box, an associate professor of geology at Ohio State, believes that another factor added to the early thaw, colon, the dark snow problem. Now, there's a semicolon here, but I'm just putting in the colon. And if we look at C, we see C is the letter that has the colon in it. D also has a colon. Now, we determined before that the semicolon was not right because the second half after the semicolon is not a complete sentence. So we know that A is not right, and we know that B is not right because "and it was the dark snow problem" is also not a sentence. That's like a second half of a sentence. So A and B are out. Therefore, we know that C or D either one is an answer, and they both have colons. So, and it fits, right? Because, but Jason Box, an associate professor of geology at Ohio State, believes that another factor added to the early thaw is a complete sentence. So we have created the criteria by which we can have a colon. Now, this is a hot tip here. C is the answer, and I told you anything can come after a colon, so why not B? Here's the hot tip. Being is bad. So when you see the word being on the test, 99.9% of the time on the SAT, it will be wrong. Being is bad, so C is the answer. For some reason, the College Board likes to test on the word being. I think it's because a lot of people use the word being in their language, and it's not grammatically correct, but people are so used to hearing it, they want to test your grammatical knowledge. Okay, let's try maybe one or two more. Number 26 is the next one. I definitely want to go over this one. So the sentence reads, the spaces are usually stocked with standard office equipment, such as photocopiers, printers, and fax machines. Okay, so if you look at the answers, and this, I'm going to start to repeat this particular phrase often, that in the writing section, you want to be looking at your answer choices because it really helps you to understand how to think. So if I look at the answer choices, I see, well, they're testing us for commas versus colons. All right, good. So now I know that a colon, you need to have a complete sentence before it. So let's see. Where would the colon? So the colon would be after such as. In B and C, the colons are after such as. So I read, the spaces are usually stocked with standard office equipment, such as. That's not a complete sentence, right? The such as ruined it. If the colon was after equipment, and then it just listed the items, then I would like it. But you can't have a comma, such as, and then a colon, because that first half is just not a complete sentence. So out goes B, out goes C. The colons don't work. So now it's just a choice between A and D, and we're not even going to go there yet, because we'll get to that with commas. Okay, one more, and that's number 32. All right, again, it's the same sentence as we had before with the semicolon. Over time, I've got to know several of my co-working colleagues, another website developer, a graphic designer, a freelance writer, and several mobile app coders. This is the classic usage of a colon. You have a complete sentence to start with, which is, over time, I've gotten to know several of my co-working colleagues. That's a sentence. Great, so you can have the colon there, and then you just have a list of the colleagues. This is good as it is. A is the answer. All right, now I hope that you understand semicolons and colons. If you don't, please go back and just review this and really commit this to memory, and you'll have a much easier time with the punctuation questions.